Students, the biological process by which new individual organism offsprings are produced from their parents. Reproduction is a fundamental feature of all known life. Each individual organism exists as the result of reproduction. So there are three forms of reproduction, types of reproductions. So there are three common method reproductions found in algae. First one is vegetative reproduction, second one asexual reproduction, third one sexual reproduction. So first vegetative reproduction. So the vegetative reproduction in algae includes those method of propagation in which portion of the plant body becomes separated off to give rise to individuals. Vegetative reproduction takes place by different methods. First is by cell division. So the mother cells divides and the daughter cells are produced which become new plants. So it is sometimes known as binary fission. This type of reproduction is found in diatoms and euglena by cell division, and second one is fragmentation. So the plant body breaks into several parts via fragmentations. Each such type of fragment develops into an individual. So this type of vegetative reproduction is commonly met within filamentous form. For example, Eulothrix spirogyra. So the fragmentations of colonies also take place in several like blue-green algae, example Aplanthosi and nostoc. These are showing fragmentation process. So third is harmogone formation. So when the trichomes break in small pieces of two and more cells, such pieces are called harmogones. So in some blue-green algae, the fragments undergoes a gliding movement which are called harmogones. So each harmogones develops into a new plant, for example, Oscillatoria and nostoc. Fourth one is hormocyst and hormospores. So such multicellular spore-like structures function as a pre-natching bodies called hormospores or hormocyst. So they are thick-walled hormones and produce in some drier conditions. Sixth one is tubers. So usually these bodies are rounded and filled up with abundance of starch. Each body may give rise to a new plant, for example, Cara by adventitious thalli. So certain special features of thalli are formed which help in vegetative reproductions. So the well-known propagule of bryopsis, Sphalergia are good example. Bulbils. So some structures usually develop on the rhizoids of Cara or called bulbils. So each such type of bulbil develop into a new plant. Echinids. So it is the type of reproductions very common in the blue-green as well as the green algae. So these echinids are a type of vegetative cell which is thick-walled and will overcome the unfavorable conditions. Sometimes they are formed in chain. Each echinid may develop into a new plant. So this type of a reproduction is found in Oedogonium and Eulothrix. Adventitious branches. So adventitious branches are formed in sub-large thalloid forms of algae. These branches, when get detached from the parent thallus, develops into new plants. Adventitious branch like Protonema formed on the internode of Cara, for example, Dictata and Fucus. Second process is found in asexual reproduction in algae. So asexual reproduction is a mode of reproduction by which offspring arise from a single organism and inherit the gene of that parent only. So it is a reproduction which almost never involves ploidy and reductions. So the offsprings will be exact genetic copies of the parent except in the specific case of automixis. So a more stringent definition is agamogenesis, which is a reproduction without the fusion of gametes. Usually the protoplast of a cell divides into several protoplasts and thereafter they escape from the mother and develop into new plants. So these asexual reproduction in the primary forms of reproductions for single-celled organisms such as the archaebacteria and eubacteria and protocysts. Many plants and fungi reproduce asexually as well. So asexual reproductions take place by a variety of spores formed in different algae. So they include by juice spores. First, so the juice spores are formed from certain older cells of filaments. So the cytoplasm divides it to form juice spores, which are kept from the mother cell. They are always formed in favorable conditions. Then juice spores are always motile. The zoospore are neck protoplasmic bodies which move by flagella, cilia, so they may be biflagellated, tetraflagellated, and compound zoospore, for example, Udogenilus and Vaucheriasis. By aplanospores, so the aplanospores are produced when there is a lack of sufficient water. So these are covered by a thin ball but do not possess flagella like the zoospores. So they also germinate directly to give rise to new plant by hypnospores. So actually they are very thick-walled planospores and develop only adverse conditions. In comparatively drier situations, the content of mother cell around off and secrete a thick wall around them, so to tide over the unfavorable conditions. So these thick-walled structures called resting spore and hypnospores. So sometimes the entire cell surges such a become thick wall to form an echinate. So they are usually produced at the approach of dry and hot weather. So on the approach of favorable conditions, they germinate directly to produce a new plant and form juice spore. For example, Pediastrum and Vaucheria. Fourth stage is found in asexual reproduction. That one is Palmella stage. So that Palmella stage, the approaches of dryness is when the plants are left on the moist bank by receding water of the plants. The cells of many algae continue to divide, but their contents are not liberated. So mother wall becomes gelatinous, thus forming a mass or colony of rounded cells which lie embedded in a jelly-like substance formed from the cell wall. So on the return of favorable condition, the cell come out either as a zoospore, as a planospore. So germinations to produce normal plants, for example, eulothrix. Fifth one is autospores. So they are just like a planospore, followed in the size, then resemble in shape to the mother cell except in size. So each autospore gives rise to a new plant, and such type of autospores are reported from many chlorococcales, for example, syndesmons. Endospores 6.1 is many blue-green algae and bacillophyceae. The endospores are formed within the cells, and the endospores forming cell behave like a sporangium. And on the approaches of favorable condition, each endospore develop a new individuals. Cysts. So these are the thick-walled spores formed during unfavorable condition or even when their food supply is abundant. During their formation, as in Vaucheria, the thallus become many septate, and each chamber thus formed produce a thick-walled cyst. Sometimes the cysts may be formed in rhizoids, as in Botridium when they are called rhizocysts. Sometimes a cyst may divide further to form a number of microcysts. Sexual reproduction. Why sexual reproduction developed and why it is maintained? Those first fossilized evidence of sexual reproduction in eukaryotes is from the Stenian period about 1.2 billion years ago. These regions include fighting the accumulations of deleterious mutation, increasing rate of adaptation to changing environment, dealing with competition or as an adaptation of repairing DNA damage and masking deleterious mutation. So while these ideas about why sexual reproduction has been maintained are generally supported. So the ultimate size of the population determined if sexual reproduction is entirely beneficial. A larger population appear to respond more quickly to benefit obtained through sexual reproduction than smaller population size. So a basic advantages of forced sexual reproduction is slowly reproducing complex organism, exhibiting characters and that depend on the specific environment that the given species inhabit, the particular survival strategy. So it is a greatly advanced method of reproduction. So first condition of sexual reproduction, the sexual reproduction takes place after considerable accumulation of food material, and the bright light is the major factor, and suitable pH also required, and the optimum temperature is necessary. Sexual reproduction are three main types: isogamy, heterogamy, aplanogamy. You can say aplanogamy conjugations. So isogamy, the fusion of similar motile gametes is found many species. Usually gametes taking part in fusion come to different individual and filaments. Sometimes these gametes come from two different celli or same filament. They cannot be classified as a male or female. Instead of organism undergoing isogamy or said to have a different mating types. You can say plus and minus strand. So although in some species these are the more than two mating types, second one